How awesome is this? It's very intimate and cozy. Thanks very much for coming along for a very special arts forum today. I'd like to acknowledge that we are meeting across Lutruwita, Tasmania, Aboriginal land, sea and waterways. I acknowledge with deep respect the traditional owners of this land, the Politecnico people. So my name is Nicolaus Rubinis and I'm the Coordinator of Design and the Coordinator of Object and Furniture here at the School of Creative Arts and Media. It's with great pleasure that I introduce current visiting scholar Vieira, a design professor at, I'm going to butcher this, Federal University Espírito Santo in Brazil.
Yes. Nice.
So apologies for that. Tice works in the fields of strategic and service design with an education that includes a bachelor's and master's degree in design, a specialization course in fashion design, a doctorate in engineering, which was also partially studied at the Politecnico di Milano. So her main line of research and activity is the social innovations that promote solutions for sustainability. So from this perspective, Tice will make connections between fashions and also solutions related to urban community gardens. So just quickly before I hand over to Tice, I'd like to thank you all for coming today. I know it's outside of our semester, so I appreciate you being here. Also, just a quick shout out to the team that organised the Arts Forum as well. Jess Brown, who's one of our administrative experts, who's pulled a lot of this stuff together. Our Art Forum steering crew, Matt Warren, who's here today. Thanks, Matt. Neil Haddon and also Denise Robinson. And also to Dr. Emily Samuels-Valentine, who teaches several units, design units here at the school for us, who is a convivial food systems designer and the director of Magical Farm, which is in Allens Rivulet, approximately 20 minutes kind of in that general direction. And it's through Emily's international connections that we can host Tice with us here today. So that's a quick overview of the session. Tice will present, and then if there's any questions at the end, we'll have a bit of a chat and a discussion. So with that, Tice, over to you. Thanks very much for being here.
Thank you, Nick. So, as he said, my name is Thais Vieira, and I'm here in Australia, but I came from Brazil, from that one of those small states in the south called the Espírito Santo, just close to Rio de Janeiro. Probably some of you had already heard about Rio. I was born there, but since I started to be a teacher in that university, I went to Espírito Santo. That is in a city called Vitória, that is a little bit bigger than Hobart. And just for those that doesn't know much about Brazil, we are a country quite the same size of Australia. We have 212 million inhabitants, and you have 26 million. But the size of the country is almost the same. Yeah, 8 million kilometers and you 7 million. So we have a huge country, but with a lot of problems, especially social problems, and so as beautiful as Australia, but not so wealthy, I could say. So that's the place where I live, where the university where I work is. So I started with this picture to say that I'm very happy and very honored to be here in Tasmania. And I've been very impressed by the nature and the beauty of this land. And I've been here for 2 months now, and all the time I'm saying, oh, how beautiful, beautiful. I had no words to say how this land is touching me. And just some pictures I took now. And this is the relationship. I came from UFES, and I'm here, invited by Professor Emily. I received a grant from FAPES. There is a foundation in Brazil that support researchers. And I would like to start this lecture asking you some questions that I think that are very important, and I want you to take for you some of my questions. So they should be, how do you imagine the world in 10 years? What have you done to prepare yourself and the world around you to deal with the emerging changes? And the third one, what professional skills will be most needed in the coming years? We'll talk about some of those, and we will go back to them in the end of this lecture. So talking about design, designers always had this kind of mission to, or maybe something that is inside the profession to make this connection between present and future, and designing things and images that do not yet exist. Sorry for the slides with too many words, but as this is the first lecture I'm running on in English, I'm using I did this presentation with some so that I wouldn't forget. So, and also I've heard when I was starting to study strategic design in Politecnico, something that I never thought about, but I think it's very, very important, that the fundamental skills for a designer that a designer usually have already is the way he see the world, the way he make people see the world, and also the way he preview what's going to happen. So the future. So that are the three fundamental skills to be a good strategic designer, and also for other approaches, design approaches, but especially because strategic is about looking for the future, planning the future. So I started my career working and studying with graphic design, but when I started my academical life, I had this opportunity to teach in a fashion school. It was something very different for me because I was not very interested in fashion at that time. Actually, I had some prejudice about it. But being there for 6 years, I started to learn, to understand, and even to like and love fashion as a way, seeing that as a way of representing ourselves, as a way of art, and also as a way of giving people jobs. That's about the industry all around the world that makes jobs for many, many people. But this is something I won't get very deeply because it's a very sensitive question when you talk about sustainability, when you boost the industry. But it's a fact that they provide jobs for many things in our days. But so I had something that I didn't feel very well about fashion, and I started to look for answers, look for what was that was making me feel that way. And I realized that the problem for me was consumerism, the way people use the fashion to buy more and more and more stuff. So, and also I found that design was going into other ways. There was not only anymore, not only graphic design, product design, but it was there was other kinds of design coming with new realities like strategic design, systemic design, social design. So people were starting what I call, and some other authors call, like dematerializing design, thinking design as a way of projecting, but not only things like material things, but projecting and creating things beyond the material, things that could bring to other people well-being. That was mainly what is behind all those kinds of, I'll talk about some of those, but not everything, but the ones I've been through. But what probably some of you are asking, what's the relationship between fashion and urban community gardens? A lot of people, even my family, keeps asking me this. And some people may think that, oh, there should be some clothes being made with plants or something like that, something crazy like that. But no, it's a long story that I'll tell you, but I would like you to think from the beginning about these two topics there. I think there can make this relationship in an easy way. Clothes and food are used in our own bodies. You put them into you. And both are responsible for huge impact in environment. That's and now I'll start the speech talking about my research in fashion, and after that my research in urban community gardens, and then I'll close with some thoughts. Well, fashion and sustainability. I would like to start with a little bit talking about history, because some people don't have any idea that before industry revolution, people didn't have so many clothes. They had just a few, because it was very difficult to make them, to have the textiles and everything. So they have some dresses were given like heritage. It became from the grandma to the mother to the daughter, and they have 4 or 5 clothes maximum. So this was the reality of the world for many, many years. And the ready-to-wear, that is the industry coming, producing clothes that you just arrive in some place and it's ready and you can buy it, just became in the end of the 19th century. Because before that, every time you needed a cloth, you had to go to a professional who would make a draw for you and produce everything just for you. It was one piece of cloth. So the ready-to-wear started to happen between the end of 19th century and 20th century. And then, like also around 1920, there was started to happen a phenomena that you can see. This is a documentary that I suggest you to see. It's called Planet Obsolescence. Who doesn't know this phenomenon? I'm just doing in a short this story. So people that were planning economy for the countries, they realized that objects that lasted too long were not good for the economy. They needed to be to last for a short time, so that people would always buy things and make the machine of the economy work. So this happened also with fashion, and it grew a lot. So you started to have those fashion for seasons, and all the things that became true today as we see the fast fashion. That is I see the limit of this possibility of everything have to be, people buy like all week, they have to have something new, but with a bad quality. The industries are producing a lot, but the clothes are not good. They just, you put in the machine, you wash them, and it's done. So there's no worries about if the cloth will last, but just to sell them as much as you can. So as I told you, I'm just coming back to this, even that I have all these critics, I still think the fashion is something important for us, because it's the way we express ourselves. And some people say it's not exactly fashion, that I should be using the name clothing, but I think it's all together. If I'm expressing myself, I'm also using a sense of fashion. So I've heard this sentence from one of our greatest serious and fashion designers in Brazil, Ronaldo de Fraga. He said that if we stop to produce clothes from now, we'll still having them for more than 200 years. And this, when he said that, I was starting my PhD research, I had a huge impact to think about it. And we usually don't think about the consequence of the clothes we are buying all the time. We just buy because we want, because we think it's beautiful, because we need, but we never think that, today I think people are thinking most about this, are more concerned about this. At that time, especially in Brazil, people were not thinking about this, just having as much as they could. And to say that they didn't throw it in the rubbish, they gave it as a present, especially for the poor people. So with this, I decided to research about how could things be different in fashion. And then I got into design for social, I discovered design for social innovation. That is an approach from design that I learned from my supervisor in Brazil, that was supervised by Ezio Manzini in Italy. And it's very strong in Italy, this approach of design. And this scheme just resumes what it is. You find signs in the society of changes. You look for the society and look for cases, and you study them, and then you collect the signs, you enforce the signs, the good signs, and try to take away the bad ones. And then you resend these reinforced signs to the society. So I'll show you what I've done. I started to look at the whole society, what was being done at that time, it was 2011, for a more sustainable life. More sustainable fashion, sorry. And then when I started to do this research, I went to Politecnico di Milano to know more about social innovation, also to see what was happening in Europe. And then I interviewed some people from other countries, from Holland, Germany, Italy, of course, and from Sweden and from London, and to hear them. All these people, in a way, they were working to create solutions and to deal with sustainable fashion. And then I got, from between Brazil and other countries, I got 100 case studies that I put them together, analyzed them, and then I created 3 main groupers that are called multipliers, customizers, and socializers. The multipliers, this is, I'll show you one of each of those. This was the case that what inspired me, actually inspired me to make my research. This is a woman that decided to wear during 1 year, the same dress, just changing the things he used with them, like the scarves, as you can see, socks, shoes, and jewelry, and everything. And she used the internet to show that it was possible to live during a year expressing yourself without having many clothes, or in this case, only one clothes. So multipliers were cases like that. So I had someone that used the clothes that he had in a backpack for 3 months. Another one stopped to buy for 1 year. And they were all showing through internet what they were doing, like boosting the people to do the same. And the customizers were actually the people that we call also that use the methodologies of do-it-yourself, people that do upcycling in their clothes. They get an old cloth and transform it in a new one. And the third group, the socializers, are the people that buy from secondhand, that sharing library clothes and things like that. This was something very difficult in Brazil. We almost didn't have at that time. Thanks God, this is something that changed, because in Brazil, people had so many prejudice about using some other people's clothes, because they think that cloth will come with the energy of the other people. And they also, Brazilians are like obsessive about cleaning. And so socializing, people didn't like to secondhand store. There was almost anyone. We actually had some stores to rent clothes there for a long time, but that was the only thing. But I found some cases also in Brazil, but mostly out of Brazil. And this is now stronger in Brazil too. So these were with that information, I created the scenarios. And what are the scenarios? Scenarios are a way to show stakeholders how the future is going to happen, so that they can create their tactics to achieve their goals. So they can understand, we make for them clear what's going to happen. So I created these 12 personas. If you pay attention in their faces, the first line were people very young, the second line not so young, the third like families, people that were running families, and the last one old people. And each one for each group, and they have a small video talking how their lives was, pretending they were in 2030. And it was very interesting, and it worked very, very well. I used this with a focus group with stakeholders in Brazil to have their feedback, and to hear what they thought about it, what could be done with this. So this was the result of my research for the PhD about sustainability in fashion. Then I started to research about urban community garden and sustainability, like from the pandemic to here. It all began with a question from a student. I used to run a discipline called supervised project in a very bad translation. And she said she wanted to create a community garden, but she didn't know anything about that. So I showed her, we have methodology of design, we have many methodologies. This is the most simple, that it's like resume from the design council in London, showing how we designers work. This is called the double diamond design process. So I showed her that we had to find solutions, we have to discover first, what means we had to research. So I started to see with her, and when we started to study, I started to see that urban community gardens were a system, a very interesting, with users, budget, aims, infrastructure, way of use, and there are many things to be used in a project to be created as other kinds of community gardens. It could be used as a service offered by a government or a university. It could be something to create relations between those people, and also inside some, I've heard already about cases of inside a company that they wanted to make their workers to get closer to the company. So it could be planned as a service. But we had to define the problems. So we started to do a mapping about the community garden in Vieria, the city where we live, and using the social innovation system, as I told you. And we went to 13 community gardens in the city. This is the map where they were, the name of them. I'll show you some pictures. This was the first one. It's the older one, and it still exists. And there I met a lot of people, as you can see in this picture. I'm somewhere in this picture, and behind with the hat. And I met some people from this group. It's a group of young people that want to improve the possibilities, and politically including, in community gardens, urban community gardens in Vieria. RUCA means, in a bad translation, to Capixaba Urban Agroecology Network. Agroecology was one of the things I realized. Every single garden always using agroecology. None of them always, they were always against using chemicals in their gardens. So this was another one. I'll show you some of those. Another one. This was the beginning of one of those. Another one. Another one. This is the one that the picture is in the poster calling for this lecture. I love this because this was inside a slam, and they were very creative, and they had no money, so they got these bottles, painted them, and made this. And after that, they made a bigger one, but I love this. I love this picture. How Brazilians are very creative, even if, especially maybe because they had not much resources, they have to create them. And it was nice. Well, I went once in a working bee in this garden, and there was one of the person that lives around, he made a barbecue for us. Were always helping each other, and it's a very convivial, as Emily likes to say, and she studies, and it's a great place to be. And this is another one. This one is also already very different. It was starting to, and this one was very special because it was inside a clinic. It was used as a therapy for child that had some special problems. And so by running into these gardens, I found those signs I was looking for, and I understand a lot of things. I'll show you some of those. The main objectives and benefits were cleaning, preservation, and occupation of unproductive sites. Most of them complained about they having a soil just beside their houses that was becoming a place to put rubbish, and that they have people that they were afraid using the space. Food safety, that is a big problem in Brazil. Healthy food production and learning how to use them. Promotion of food and agroecological education, as I said, it's a very strong question. Community socialization and integration, leisure and therapy. So many objectives and many benefits. And some of their difficulties. To keep community engaged, because the volunteers just came and go. This is a problem with volunteer job anywhere, but there are some things that as a designer we can do to help them maintain those people and call those people. Actually, I've done some exercises with my students with some of those gardens already. Financial, as always, also in Brazil. And knowledge, they asked for knowledge about how to do, how to plant, how to deal with laws for the gardening. And in a short, no chemical, just organic, permaculture. We had a lot of permaculture in Brazil, agroforests, biodynamics. So this kind of possibilities, they came talking about it. And they gave a lot of questions, demands, problems about the motivations, achievements. Those were the signals we got. And also I understand the importance of these urban community gardens for sustainable future. We had a lot of, beyond those benefits, one of the things, for example, for the environment, we had in Brazil a huge catastrophe in May this year, that one of our biggest city just was submerged by a river because of the rain. And we, for example, if we had more community gardens, I'm not saying that it would be all solved, but it would be less, because the water, when it's inside a city and there's only concrete, only asphalt, it cannot get into the soil back. So the community garden has also this possibility, and they help to solve food problem, health problem. Many old people, the world is getting older, and old people love to go to the garden and meet people and use their knowledge in that soil. There are many, many good things that could be done about it, that the community garden brings for society and for the environment. So going back to the methodology of design, I had this signs, and I had to define the problem. Then I took this information to a group of people inside the university. I got like 27 people, half from the university, half from outside. Try to make a very balanced group. Students, teachers, workers, people from the community, people from the government. It was a very interesting experience. And I showed them those signs, and I asked them to say what they expected from a garden in the university, because most of the, I forgot to say, most of the, all those gardens I went asked me to make a garden inside the university with that things they were missing. So in this co-creation group, I was trying to hear from all these people from outside and inside the university what they wanted for this community garden. This was the group. It was in the end of the COVID. Some were still using masks. I found a place where it was not all closed. And we also had, I used the word cafe methodology that I like very much. That is, you put people together, you give them themes or topics, and they exchange from table to table and construct step by step the thoughts. And in the end, I had something like this. What they expected about the profile of the people that would go to the garden inside the university, what they expect as a system to methodology to work, and what they expect as the goal of as a goal for the community garden. So it was something, the results were very complex. And after that, we had to deal with this information. They choose the name for the garden, for the community garden. And the problem definition, in the end, I wrote like a space to learn, to be supported, where many garden projects and researches can happen coexisting. And this was the logo one of my students created. Age cone, because age is horta or garden in Brazil, come from communitary. And this fruit is guava, that is a fruit very common in the city where I'm living. So we started to do the first space layouts. We decided to create this too much more than, in the end, it's too much more than a garden. It's like a farm, as Emily says, with 17 different gardens with different shapes. This was the first idea. And in this part, in the corner down in the right, there's a space for getting people together that I saw all around. In all gardens I went, they have at least a table to start the work or to finish the work or to have coffee during the work. It's very important, this part of where the people can share something else than what the work itself. This was this convivial space. This was the draw from the upper view done from the architect that was in the group. And we were improving the draw. And in the end, he made this. As you can see, the space in the right, in the bottom, is a space for disabled people. So you see better. Like the gardens are a little bit high, because if they could get close to them with using the chairs, wheelchairs. And in the right, there was a space for classes, a space for composting, and for seeding too. space closer, the image closer. So then I came to Australia. Just to finish the story, why did I came to Australia? I think Australia is a good example to be followed. I've seen a lot of different things. Every Australian has a garden or in their house or has a community garden that usually goes. It's something very, very strong in Australia. And I was introduced to Emily by a common friend that studied in Politecnico di Milano. So I came to the magical farm to stay some time with her and to learn. And I went to Lorena to learn about permacultures. I've been in some meetings of the biodynamic groups. I've been here at the UTAS with Emily in her classes. And I went also to Launceston. I knew the community garden from the Utah that is beautiful in Launceston, beautiful. And so I have many, many good experience here. And so how can we think about sustainability? I think there's not only sustainability, but a lot of kinds of sustainabilities that we can and we have to think about. And these things are all close to our day by day. When we use it, when we choose, when we buy our clothes, when we eat our food, when we buy our food. So we have to, sometimes people take sustainability as something very far from them, very distant, it's in the future. No, it's something we have to think about from now, because the world is really in trouble. There are many catastrophes already happening and people sometimes don't pay attention to that. So the importance of fashion and community garden sustainability is exactly bringing these concerns close to the people, close to each one of us, close to our reality, and making the change, even if they seem to be small. We are doing something. And more than doing something, what I see, for example, from people that works and goes to community garden, they start to use and take some other options in their life that they're not only about the food or planting. This comes together when I start to pay attention in where my clothes come from. I start to think about the food I put inside my mouth. So these things start to like seed in people's mind what they need to do and what's really important for them, for their well-being. And this was something very interesting about this this possibility of coming here to see the difference. I think, oops, something happened here. I think that Australia is ahead of Brazil, but I hope to take many good things and beautiful things I saw here to take to Brazil. And I'm sure we can do a lot of good things in Brazil. And it was very interesting, very good for me to learn the things I've learned here. And I would like to use this thinking about the ways of sustainability, if we are really sustaining our lives, our world, our jobs. Sustainable has to do with sustainment, as someone I met here through Emily, Tony Fry, and Anne-Marie. There's also a teacher in here. he writes about this difference between sustainable and sustainment, future and the future, what we are doing with our life, with our world. Are we creating or destroying our world? So, well, I would like to go back to this question. What professional skills will be the most needed in the coming years? And as I understand, as I see, because I deal with many people that are in the market working. I was already, I had a printing store in the past from my family. So I understand how mind of the people that are in the market, what they need and what they want. So I think that it's to understand the specificity, sorry, in Portuguese it's easier to say, specificities of the change needed for sustainability with well-being in each context. And about the other question, I just would like to make you take home and think about the other questions, because I have my answer, but there's no right answer or only one answer. So what do I wait for the future, and what am I doing for the future? I would like to ask you to take this question and maybe answer me now. I'm finishing my speech. I would like to hear you if you have any question. If you want to tell me this answer, what you think about it. And that's it. Thank you very much for. I finished with the image of the water. That is something that I've completely fell in love. The red one and the white one, especially. That's what it is.
We'll just open it up to questions if anybody's got any questions, and that extends to the audience, but also we've got some people online as well. But before I do, the questions that you posed right at the beginning, which you've shown again at the end, they kind of stuck with me as you were talking, you know, and going through the projects. But to swing it back on you, there's a sense of hope. You know, things we could say are pretty grim, but there is a sense of hope in those questions. But to swing it back on you before anybody else might want to answer it, how do you see the world in 10 years' time? What's your vision of it? I'd like to know.
Oh, I could say a million things, because I really have been working with future, and I think that the most important thing is to be open, because things are going to change so much, and we need to be very observative and try to make our own choices, because one of the things that worries me more is the way technology is changing our minds, and it's taking our minds to believe in things that are not real. I like to go to places, I like to know people and to see the facts with my eyes, because the world is really changing, and I think people, in a short, that I think the future is a little bit about the past. We are getting back some of this like importance of being together, of doing our own things, of producing our own food and clothes, and stop with things people put in our mind that we have to have new clothes all the time, that we have to eat things that were industrialized with flavors that doesn't exist. That's it.
Love it. Excellent. Any questions? Anyone online? Oh, hold on. Hello, Caroline.
Thank you, Nick. Okay, great. Thank you, Tice, very much. I really enjoyed your presentation. And so my area of interest is I'm researching in the built world. And one of the things that I've been looking at is how we can reuse building materials. And I've been playing with making composite materials that reuse waste. And what I've uncovered is this sort of nasty mess and a number of really significant structural barriers that has me look to the future of collaboration and getting people together specifically. And with regard to your presentation and what you've come up with in co-creation and getting your group together and the layout, which I love and I'm excited by, I'm curious to know how you approached managing a number of people on that project to do different things, perhaps now and also moving forward, whether you, is that enough? You know, how you structured lots of different people with different agendas moving forward.
Yeah, as I told you, I don't know if you know the methodology of Word Cafe. There are a lot of materials you can find on the internet. You have like, you create some like tables. In each table, there's someone that is taking notes and paying attention what's happening in that table. I gave them like 20 minutes to think, for example, about the users they expected in the garden, and they talked and they had papers to write and draw whatever they wanted to express what they were thinking. And after 20 minutes, I gave them a sound sign and they just exchanged it. They couldn't go all together to another table. They had to mixture everybody. And so the second topic was about what kind of technology they expect to be used in the garden. And this idea was being constructed, and the person that was trained before in the table was writing everything, and they made some presentations. And also between one and another topic, I had someone talking about that, knew about that topic and the possibilities, to input in their minds possibilities that they could talk about. I love this methodology. I've done a lot of times. Very good.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is and thank you, I can see that that's related to what you presented, and that seems to me in the planning phase. I'm wondering whether there's something else that you implemented or that you're thinking about, and I know that time's running out, but in terms of ongoing management.
Well, it's a long story. It's the things when I left Brazil, we're about to start we already have the soil, and unfortunately the university in Brazil are with a very big lack of money. But I probably won't start with everything like the way I planned, when we planned, not me, it was not only me, but at least with the water and electricity and the fence. We need a fence in Brazil because of many people that could get into, that was something in every gardens I've been, they say, you have to have a fence. One of the things I saw here that I love is that you only have small fences for the wallabies, not for people. You easily can see or go into the places, to the houses and everything.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question.
Hello, Tice.
Hello.
Yeah, I enjoyed what you said. I'm interested in your journey from fashion to gardening, to put it in a really broad brushstroke way. But I'm interested to know what you think the role of fashion is in the future in terms of well-being, because obviously with gardening and food production, we can see that's a kind of health-related outcome. But fashion, I question whether that is that important, or what, how
Of
you
course,
how
of
you
course.
see that in the future, because I'm confused.
Okay, okay, I'll tell you. The way I see things, for me, is the only way industry can go on without being so unsustainable. Instead of creating 1,000 different kinds of clothes, they will create like one industry, for example. They will create only 100 with a good textile, with a good process. This cloth will last, and people will have less clothes, but good clothes, and clothes that really represent them. I spoke to a group of young in Holland. It was amazing. They've done with the students, between the students, during 1 year, they couldn't buy any clothes. And they got into the conclusion that the more important clothes that they had were the ones that really means something for them, had something to do with it. There are a lot of clothes they just buy for buying. They almost didn't use it. So we start to look what is really important for us and only have less clothes that really shows who we are. And so the industry, of course, these clothes will cost more. They will sell less, but for a higher price. But actually, we also won't need to buy many clothes. That's the way I think that should be. That's the best horizon I can see. But of course, things are not that easy. There's a lot of things behind this. Industry is very powerful, and we are kind of, we cannot decide for them. That would be the best, I believe. Oh, Jessica.
We're right on time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone for being here today, and also to everyone online. So, yeah, awesome. That's a wrap. Thanks very much. Thank you.